We back. Got that DC strats for Replacer Knight. Now, I got up early to work on this today, and if you happen to hear a phone go off in the background, it's because I'm on call this weekend. I have 3 teams I'm going to be showing off that I used this season so far, and all runs will be on 75% mods without the boss HP increase. Let's go ahead and check them out. Start off with, this boss is the sniper class, spawns adds, she spawns a defender and rangers throughout the fight. Boss is basic, she sits there and shoots out a bunch of little orbs. They seem to only have one valid hit, so whatever's in front of it is what gets hit. Boss is special, indicated by the blue bar underneath her portrait. It actually acts differently depending on where the unit is. If it's ranged, then it'll send out a saw blade. If you're melee, then it'll actually knock back the units. Boss's ult, indicated by the purple bar underneath her portrait, is just a map-wide laser beam. Nothing really special, looks pretty cool. Hopefully you actually never see this ability. During the HP gates of 50%, 80%, it actually pushes the ulti back. Boss at 80% HP will sit there and knock back your team and then put a shield on herself, which if that shield isn't broken, then she'll do a map-wide attack, usually resulting in a team wipe. She will do the same at 50%, except this time she gets invulnerability and silences your team before the knockback so that you can't use any ultis. Alright, starting off with some stats for nerds. The boss's HP is only at 1 mil, which is probably one of the lowest HPs out of all the DC bosses. She has 1,200 defense. For snipers, she has 3.5k hit, which is actually lower than the Knight of the Lake. As far as evasion goes, she's the second lowest evasion boss in the game with only 482. All this meaning that your tanks will need at least 1,916 evasion in order to evade the attacks. Your DPS will need 904 hit if you don't shred any evasion off the boss, and 452 hit if you at least shred 50% of the evasion off. Because the boss silences you on the second HP threshold, and if you're using any tanks that can get knocked back, best bet is to actually use ultis to iframe the first knockback on the units that can get knocked back, so that you can keep your units up close to the boss. Because at the 50% HP threshold, the boss makes yourself invulnerable, I suggest redeploying your tank so that your DPS, since there's an ad that spawns right on them, doesn't immediately just get smacked down. Alright, for the first clear, we're going to be letting Lin Jian here tank on her own for a little bit. She's not the tankiest of units, so we definitely need some supports here to keep her kicking. She's going to be taking a lot of hits, so I use Tempest's shield right here to sit there and redirect a bit, as well as stun. Try and keep her alive till she gets her ulti and I can get Horizon out. Now that I have Horizon out, she's just gonna sit there and smack and beat bads up until they get tossed across the field. Or die. Now, I don't think using the S1 here is probably the best idea. This is one of my earlier clears, but you know, it's hard not to summon the boys when you deploy a Curian, so it'd probably be better to wait to use that one actually. And you want to keep Lin Jian on the field as much as possible because you are cycling a lot, so if she does die, redeploy her, ulti as much as possible. You want to try and get Horizon back on your bar as soon as possible so that you can redeploy her. Seeing as once she gets to her 50% threshold mark, she doesn't get knocked back as far as everybody else, which is helpful. But we also have Tempest Shield just in case things go wrong. Using the ult here just to clear out the ads as soon as possible, but you'll see in my other video, or my other clears, that it's actually just better to use that on the boss itself. Alright, for the team, we have Lin Jian on tanky CDR. 72 seems to be a decent number to work with. You probably do 68. Rosaria, I have on attack anti-ground, but attack anti-sniper would probably be better. Shinatsu, tanky CDR. Hori and I have on attack with crit damage latents. Range damage would probably be better for him. Zengia on CDR tank as well. Crit or counter res works here. Dorothy on swift A speed. Zengia on ranged A speed. She doesn't need to be tanky for this fight. Ryzen I have on HP. He doesn't need that much crit res if I'm running Tempest. Here's a clear I did with Ahilde. Opted for an auto start here. Ahilde Reactor will give your team a shield, which will last throughout the fight as long as it's not broken, but it's not really needed, but it's helpful. Besides that, the main purpose of using Ahilde here is the fact that as long as she has a shield on her, she can't get knocked back by anything, even the boss's HP thresholds. So we try to take advantage of that and have a shield up on her as much as possible. Plus, she's a defender, so she actually gets roll advantage against snipers, which by herself, she can actually break all the shields. Not saying that the other defenders can't, but she does it really well. Now we're popping some Chinatsu ultis here to try and keep Ahilde alive, because you'll see with the gear that I actually have her on full damage. Now, you can try to iframe with the ulti, which is probably okay, but after you use the ulti, she starts using specials, so she immediately gets her shield, which just prevents the knockback anyway, so you can also use that as a way to push the phase sooner. Now you'll see here when the 50% threshold happens, I go ahead and redeploy Ahilde to give my team a shield, protect Curian so that he doesn't die to this ad. Go ahead and ult here again to try and clear this ad out as soon as possible, which also somewhat repositions Curian. I kinda wish I held that ulti, but it is what it is. And then here we have the clear using all the ultis and everything that we can after we break that shield. Ahilde doing 300k damage by herself. Now for the team and gear. Like I said, I did put her on full damage. Anti-counter with anti-ground damage. Linjian's the same with the same tanky CDR. Rosaria is going to be on attack. Much ground damage as possible. CDR, tank for Chinatsu as well. Administrator Rifleman, I put on A speed with as much latence as I could. Kurian, same thing, attack. Dorothy on A speed, Swift. Try to keep her passive up as much as possible, and range damage, Senjia. Alright, so now we have Kaci Benz helping us out on this run. We're going to lead with her so we get the shields off of her, and we're going to be abusing Regina and Kurian's fact that they cannot get knocked back. So now I go ahead and deploy Regina here so that she does get hit by that saw to try and break the shield sooner. After that, we sit there and get Chinatsu out for the Kimhana proc and some heals. Try to get Linjian's ult off as soon as possible so that we can get our boy Kurian out. Now, I actually resist the urge to use my S1 here, or sorry, S2 here, and summon the boys, and just have Kurian by himself throughout the fight here. Now, after getting them out, because I want my ulti by the last phase, I go ahead and deploy Aegea here. Now, since the boss summons an ad that actually has a skill counter on it, Nicole is a little difficult to use. You need to at least have the special, that counter get used before she uses her special. So we're not deploying her right off the bat. We're going to use Aegea here to get some attack speed and crit out. I-frame the ultis, deploy the shield just in case. Also stunning that ad. And then now I summon the boys and try to push phase 2. All my ultis are up. I try to be cheeky here to sit there and use my ulti on Aegea, hoping I can I-frame it, but it doesn't work. But I go ahead and use it because it's not what buff she has, but what the circle's currently at. So everybody gets the full buff here, and then once the shield is broken, I've learned my lesson. I start blowing off all my ultis as soon as possible to burn the boss down. Hey, Regina coming in at the top DPS, Kurian at the second. Team and gear. Now, Kaci already has a crit res built in, and along with Tempest, you need 0. So I actually put skill haste on her for subs. Linjian, tanky CDR. Regina I have on full volcano gear, getting as much anti-counter damage as I can, but a double anti-sniper is better, or attack anti-sniper. Chinatsu is the same as the others, same gear for Kurian. Senjia is on tanky CDR. Nicole I have on special damage amp, so she just pops the tank ad. And range damage on Senjia. Now for the ship, I'm using Tempest in all my runs. Here are the latents for it. Thanks for watching. I hope one of these teams help you to improve your score. Kurian can probably be replaced by Regina in the teams that both are not being used in. And Rosaria can replace either one if you don't have both. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Army by clicking on the join button. You can also catch me on Discord. Link will be in the description. If you want to help support this channel, you can also find a link for that in the description. And I will see you all next time.